Hey y'all, it's Wes Collins. I wanted to come at you real quick with a video on the Civil War, which is what our project is on. The Civil War, as you know, was a war between the North and the South from 1861 to 1865, and it led to over 600,000 casualties. The most important thing to know about the Civil War and to understand all of it is probably the five causes, or at least the causes of the war. So I'm going to dumb it down into 5 different categories, and we'll go from there. The first category is the economic and social differences between the North and the South. After the cotton gin was created, the Southern economy became a one-crop economy with just cotton, while the North started to rely more on industrialization. This caused for the North to join different classes together and work together, creating a different culture, while the South continued to hold on to the antiquated social order. The second reason that the Civil War was caused was the state versus the federal rights. The first organized government after the U.S., or in the U.S. after the American Revolution, was under the Articles of Confederation. The 13 states formed a loose confederation with a very weak federal government. To change this, all the states met together at the Constitutional Convention in secret to create the U.S. Constitution. Strong proponents of state rights, like Thomas Jefferson and Patrick Henry, weren't around, but they continued to go forth with it. Many felt the new Constitution ignored the states, and so at this convention they resulted in the idea of nullification. Many proponents, such as John C. Calhoun, fought for nullification, but once the federal government was set up, they denied states these rights. When nullification would not work, the states felt they were no longer respected, which moved them closer towards secession. The third reason was probably the fight between slave and non-slave proponents. As America began to expand, first with lands gained from the Louisiana Purchase and from the Mexican War, the question of whether new states admitted to the new union to be slave or free. The Missouri Compromise, as well as the Wilmot Proviso and the Compromise of 1850, were all 3 acts that factored in to the creation of slave or free states. The fourth reason why the Civil War was caused was probably the abolition movement. During the secession from some states, there was a lot of sympathy towards slavery, and some of the major events included the publishing of Uncle Tom's Cabin, the Dred Scott case, John Brown's raid, and the passage of the Slave Fugitive Act. The last thing that caused the South to secede officially, and all the states on the edge, was the election of Abraham Lincoln. Things were already bad. Abraham Lincoln was elected in 1860, and at that point South Carolina issued its Declaration of the Causes of Secession, because they believed that Lincoln was anti-slavery and in favor of Northern interest. And after this happened, everything else is history.